Travcoa is pleased to be bringing you this webinar today. We're here to talk about Europe in 2015. And we're joined today by Kathy Holler, who handles business development for Travcoa and is here to tell you more. Hi, Kathy. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, and good morning or good afternoon if you're on the East Coast, and Happy New Year. I am really thrilled that you've joined us today, and I know how busy it is. Knowing how the phones are ringing in our office right now, I'm sure that 2015 has started off with a bang for everybody because it's really busy, and Europe is hot on the list of everyone. So I'm so glad that we decided to feature Europe on this particular presentation. But again, thank you, Lee, and I'm going to get started. For those of you that have had our webinars before, I'm sorry you'll have to sit through the little intro again, but it's always good to get an update just so you have the perspective of the differentiation of Travcoa from the other companies, great companies that are out there. Again, the reminder, in 2014 we celebrated 60 years, so for 6 decades we have been a world leader in luxury travel. We continue to be. We really don't focus on the 4-star market. On our private journeys we can do some 4-star, but generally we're the company to go to when you have discerning clients looking for a high-end quality travel experience to destinations around the globe. I always like to show this slide just as a chronology of where we've come from since we started in '54, but remember, we were really the one that opened up the doors to many of the luxury destinations that are core to all of us today. One of significance, I always like to show that in '63, we actually initiated game viewing photographic safaris in East Africa. So contrary to what a lot of people believe, there's another brand or a couple of brands out there, we were actually the originator of safaris. So again, don't forget us for Africa. And things are rebounding now. We're starting to see the calls coming back in, so do think of us for Africa as well. We also did some of the first guerrilla tracking in Africa, which is important to know, back in '77. We helped bring the first U.S. groups to Vietnam in 1990. We've been, again, going to various destinations far-flung in the Middle East for many years. I'd like to mention that Egypt at one time was 1/3 of our business. Unfortunately, that market did, of course, go away in many cases, but we're starting to see some calls coming back. So, again, we hope that that beautiful country will suddenly come back on the radar. But you can still do that with us as a private journey. Hopefully, we'll bring our groups back in the future. You'll notice in 2011, we actually went into North Korea. We actually moved out of there in 2012 and don't have any plans to go back in the future during the current environment, but you never know. So the one great thing about Travcoa is because we do the world, we're going in and out of destinations, and again, sometimes we're going to destinations that nobody else goes to. And other times we'll have destinations that are a bit more mainstream, but then clients that love traveling with us and Travcoa style, that's why they travel with us. So 2 books that we have for 2015. The black book on the left is our traditional look and color, black and gold. That is the Travcoa Dream Book for Escorted Journeys, small groups and luxury destinations around the world. The right side is the book that we launched back in, or the product we launched back in 2011, and this was really our private journeys. And private journeys are the FIT, but they're the pre-designed itineraries. So whereas you have an itinerary with a scheduled group departure in the escorted, the private journeys are FIT but pre-designed. So again, you need to have both of those books to have the complete roster of the scheduled and pre-designed itineraries. So I'll talk to those in a sec. The regions that we go to are important, though. We are not a company that does anything in North America, so, or I should say in the U.S. or Canada. That is not our destination. So if you're looking for the Grand Canyon or something else, that's not us. But if you're looking to go far-flung destinations, exotics, even mainstream destinations, transatlantic, that's where you go. So Africa and the Middle East, again, core product area for us. Asia, India, and the South Pacific. We've been going to India for almost as long as we started the company, into the Himalayas, that region, and then South Pacific. We don't do beach vacations, that's not our focus, but Australia, New Zealand, definitely. Or if you want to do a customized cultural experience into the South Pacific, into the islands, we can do that too, but we're not for the beach vacations. Europe again, core destination for us, but a lot of our Europe destinations are more Eastern Europe. That's where we've had a lot of focus, and I'll talk about that today. But of course, we go to the key highlight destinations in Western Europe as well. The Americas, primarily South America, some Central America, Mexico, do a little bit, and also we go to Cuba. And Cuba is the big thing for us right now, of course, and with all the news about Cuba being easier to travel to, our Cuba trips are starting to sell out. So if you have anyone for Cuba and they want to do it with the best quality experience they can have, definitely give us a call. And the world of Travcoa, and this is important because we've evolved. So some know us only for the escorted, and that's the impression that, oh, if you want a group tour, you go with Travcoa. But when we launched Private Journeys, it also was a catalyst for custom journeys to really take off for us. So Private Journeys, again, pre-designed, custom is whatever the client wants. So again, 3 ways you can experience the world the Travcoa style. So I'll talk about escorted because, again, there's some real differentiations between us and the other companies that do group tours. Now, one of the things I'll preface, and I don't know if you have seen this as well, but of course the group market has changed over the years. As clients, even they're older, they're younger mentally, younger physically, many of them feel like, I don't need to go in a group. I can do this privately. And that's why we do see that growth in Private Journeys and custom. However, what's great about a Travcoa escorted journey is it's not a big bus tour. And so for those clients that think they can't do a group, the wonderful thing about Travcoa is it's small groups. It's average 12 to 14 guests. The maximum we'll ever take is 18, but we'll actually go out with 4 to 6 guests as well. We hate doing it because we actually lose a bit of money, but we do guarantee those departures to go out. So, again, that's a great opportunity. Even if you have 3 or 4 couples that like traveling together, maybe they should just come on the departure. And if we actually get 12 guests from one booking, we can close it out for those clients, and we won't sell anyone else into it. So it's a nice way to have sort of a pre-formed group drop into a fully designed Travcoa quality escorted journey. The other thing about our tours, and they are different than some of the other big brands you may know, that ours are all-inclusive, meaning there's no options to buy. You're not in Africa and suddenly you're told it's $500 each to do the balloon over the Masai Mara. We don't do that. It's included. If someone needs to remove it, then we'll do that, but we don't add it in at request. So it's nice that the client doesn't have to worry about how much money do they have to bring to pay for all these optional excursions. It's not necessary. It's all inclusive. If it's a great experience, it should be in there. It's in there. Dine around, we'll talk about in a sec, because that to me is one of our great selling points other than the all-inclusive, as well as the travel director. Number 3, 4, and 5 to me really set us apart. Distinguished accommodations, of course, as a luxury operator, that's what we need to provide. Expert local guides, some of the best in the business. We've been around for 60 years. They love working with our brand, so we do get the pick of the pack in terms of the local guides. The excursions I talked about, and a unique thing which we sometimes forget to even mention is that we provide coach sizes when you're on a motor coach so that everyone has a window seat. So if we have a full coach or a full group of 18 guests, we would never put them on a 24-seat coach, which other companies might. We actually put you on at least a 36 to 44-seat coach. And the reason is our internal guarantee is that everyone can spread out on the coach. So if you're with a couple, you each get a window. So it makes it a much more comfortable experience for everyone. And then lastly, of course, we got over 100 countries on all 7 continents. So if your client has a bucket list of where they want to go in life, in their travels, believe me, they'll find it on our list. Other than the U.S. and Canada, it's all on that list. So once you get them onto one of our itineraries, we tend to find they get hooked onto that type of experience, and they keep coming back. And the frequency that we see return guests is pretty amazing. We have clients that do sometimes 4 to 6 departures with us a year. So rather than doing a world cruise, they just go around the world with us. Anyway, so I talked a bit about the hotels. I love to say that our hotels represent some of the best products that are out there, but also a sense of place. You know, you find here some of the images. Like it really, we try to bring character, and it's not only just traditional old hotels. We have some very modern, hip hotels as well. It depends on the destination, but how it fits in with the experience of the destination. And now I talk about my favorite thing, which is the dine around. Now, anybody that loves to travel and loves food, they recognize this as being probably the best thing you could ever find, and this is why they love choosing a Travcoa trip. And when they go with somebody else and they don't have dine around, we hear about it when they come back, how much they missed it. So what this means is, yes, you can eat in the hotel and you can order whatever you want. Just like every other tour company that says you can order what you want in the hotel, you can. You can have room service as much as you want. But when you want to leave the hotel, you can with us. And it's not, we don't give you a list of restaurants that you have to go to have this option like another company does. We actually let you go anywhere. We can book the restaurant for you, the hotel concierge can book it for you, but you go, you dine, you enjoy what you want, you order off the menu whenever you want. Now here's where it gets interesting. You pay the bill. You do have to pay it. You bring the bill back to our travel director. They file it with the office, and within a few weeks of your return home, everything that you've spent on food will be reimbursed to you. So other than caviar and alcohol, that's the only caveats that we have, everything else is covered. So it's pretty nice because it allows you to dine the way that you like, whether you decided to go to a Michelin star restaurant or you decided on going to a fast food restaurant. That's your choice. But we don't dictate where you have to eat when you leave the hotel. And the reason we do that is that we look at food as part of the cultural experience of a destination. And since Travcoa's modus for travel is all about cultural interaction and cultural discovery, we don't want to define how you choose to experience the food of a country. So this flexibility is nice, but it's also that feeling that you can just eat whatever you want. There is no limit. So if you bring back a dinner bill of $500, that's fine. And we've had tours out of Japan. We've had dinner bills over $1,000 for 2 people, and we pay that. So again, nice thing to know about. Travel directors, again, super rock stars. These are the guys that they become friends of your clients. They are really, they're like the Pied Pipers. So once your client travels with one of our travel directors, they tend to get, the client gets hooked and they want to go with them to another place. So we know that when our catalogs come out and when it goes on our website, you can actually go on there and you can see which travel directors are assigned to which departures. And so what happens is we have clients deciding where they're going to go by who the travel director is, and they follow them around the world. And so again, our travel directors are not assigned to one country. That's very different from other companies where the person that they have is always in that country and you can never travel with them again. We have local guides that are different. They are based in the country, but the travel directors are global. And then talking about the guides, I mentioned earlier some of the best guides in the business, they work with us. And it's, again, the Travcoa brand is a high stamp of approval for them. And now going on the private journeys. So the differentiation, escorted or scheduled small group departures led by a travel director. Private journeys are pre-designed itineraries, but they are privately guided with local guides. So your client is met at the airport by a private guide and driver. They're transferred to the hotel. Their touring is by private car and driver. And sometimes it's a car and driver guide, and sometimes it's a driver plus an additional guide. It depends on the experience and the destination. Same quality of accommodation we use on the escorted, the same quality of excursions. Because we do group programs around the world, we have volume buying power. So we actually have, our rates are actually very competitive because of this. Nice thing about private journeys, most depart any day unless there's a ship or some element that has a scheduled departure. So you can be flexible, and again, the itinerary is an idea with a price. So the client can look at this with you, and when they're deciding if they want to make some changes to the itinerary, we can make some changes to this. When they're on tour, if they decide one day they want to travel a little bit later and the scheduling allows for it, they can just tell their driver or their guide, hey, I'd rather sleep in today, can we go out at 1 instead of 10? So that's the nice thing about private journeys for your client that maybe is a little bit more independent-minded, doesn't really like to be restricted by all the movements of a group program. It's suitable for one person. Do a lot of solo travelers that want to be adventurous, but it's also great for families. It's great for multiple couples traveling together as well, and there's over 100 itineraries that you can choose from on our website. So I always like to say, if you work with a ground operator directly, this is really the best of both worlds, because we work with some of the best ground operators in the world, but because of our buying power, we have really great rates with them. So you actually can talk to somebody in the United States. You can pay with your credit card in US dollars. You'll get your commissions paid by check immediately when the clients depart. Yet you have a great experience with some of the greatest guides in the world on the ground and the greatest hotels and premium excursions. So again, best of both worlds in this. And then lastly, the custom itineraries. This is really, whatever your clients want, that's what we work with you on. So we collaborate with you to design an itinerary that meets the client's specifications, do a lot of family and friends, multi-generational. This is a big thing which this fits in. And a lot of clients will start by looking at our escorted journeys or at the private journeys and saying, love these ideas. Now my client wants to add this, this, and this. So in many cases, we don't have to do as much work to custom design because we've already given you the framework of ideas, and you share those with your clients, and then you come back to us with their needs. So 3 ways to work with us, and now it's time to talk about Europe. Now, looking at this list, it's quite extensive, and I want to clarify that in Europe we do a mixture of private journeys that are pre-designed, again, escorted journeys, and we have custom. So custom is wherever you want to go. Mix and match, do whatever, come up with something unique. Pre and post cruise, river cruise, ocean cruise, those are all things we can do as well. If you see a country on this list that you currently have an inquiry for, all I can ask you, give us a call. Either one of our journey planners that deals with the schedule, the private, or custom journey planners would be happy to talk to you about any of these destinations. But let's talk about Travcoa's Europe and some of the differentiation in the products that we have. I'm going to start with the escorted just because it's easier, and right now I think a lot of top of mind, we're still getting a lot of inquiries. Keeping in mind that the biggest period of time for escorted for Europe is usually running between May and June, and then September and October. We find that July and August we have very limited numbers of itineraries because we have very limited numbers of people asking for those time frames, and you may have the same experience. And I'll use this slide as an example that I'm going to go through. In our brochures on our website, the maps that you see here, they're also featured there. So if you ever needed to use a map, you could copy it from our website, you could drop it into a document, we can send you a link for it as well. And also at the end of this presentation, I'll talk to you about the Travcoa Resource Library for Agents, and here you can go to our image library and also get images to complement this, so if you wanted to do something on your own in terms of marketing. We always have a prices that we're showing here will be for the ground. Intra-tour air is air that is part of the itinerary, where if you see on this map, you can see a little dotted arrow. That's the flight component. We actually handle all the intra-tour air, but we show the pricing separately. So you have to add the two to come up with a combined price. If you want us to support you with the international air to get you to and from, we do have an air desk. We've got some wonderful contracted rates, but we're also able to help you there with your airfare. But that's your choice. You can do it, your clients can do it with points, or we can do it. On intra-tour air, that's all handled by Travcoa. So I'll start with Regal Central Europe. Again, a core great program. We know a lot of people are taking river cruises and they're traveling in this area, but you may have some clients that said, I really don't want a river cruise. I'd actually like to discover this from the land. So this really gives you that heart of sort of the Regal area of Europe, starting in Budapest, stopping through Bratislava into Vienna, into Prague, Dresden, and into Berlin and Potsdam. And I will mention this is the last year this particular itinerary will be operating, and the departure for September 30th is the last one. So if you have any clients wanting this, this is the year to do it. But it really is the highlights. And you can see the picture of the Brandenburg Gate on the bottom, where just this year, the 25th anniversary of the Berlin Wall was celebrated in November. So again, some iconic highlights like that. I should mention that when this itinerary comes back again, it's likely going to be a combination that is going to go from Warsaw and Krakow and then down. So it's going to touch on a similar, but it's going to have Poland as a combination to it. And I think that'll be a great itinerary. So going on, the Royal Scotsman, and I mentioned we have very few departures in the summer. This is one of them, so in August. This is an amazing trip. If you have somebody that really wants to discover Scotland, and the reason I love this, it's a combination of driving, it's a combination of the beautiful Royal Scotsman train, but it's also the military tattoo. And the tattoo is all focused around a celebration of bagpipe music. And so if you're anybody that loves all of those things, trains and castles and the beauty of Scotland and the music, the tattoo, this is the trip for them. And again, because we only do one departure and we can't really run another one because it's so hard to get the seats on the train and the tickets to the military tattoo. So again, a wonderful, almost a once-in-a-lifetime trip for somebody who wants to see Scotland. This is the way to do it. Beautiful Balkans. We actually brought in this new this year, Bosnia and Herzegovina. And this is, I call this the great trip for the country collectors, because if they've been to many other countries, likely they've not been to Bosnia and Herzegovina, because back in the 90s, of course, you had all the turmoil going on in there. Now, it's really come back, it's changed. The great thing about this itinerary is that not only are you doing Bosnia, but you're also ending in Dubrovnik. And of course, Dubrovnik in Croatia is such a wonderful, wonderful destination. So that's a highlight. And from here, we often have people that will connect from Dubrovnik and do a post. This could be actually an extension onto a cruise out of Venice, or they'll just do a post trip to Venice after Dubrovnik and fly over and do a couple days in Venice. So that is an option. We also do extensions into Montenegro, again, if they want to go back and stay at the beautiful new Milan property that's there. So again, a great tour. And if you look at the price on this, this is a 12-day trip for under $7,000 on a Travcoa all-inclusive trip. So again, great value when you start going into Eastern Europe. Then the other one, and this is our all-time biggest seller. Every year it sells out. We have 3 departures still available, under $8,000 for 11 days for Slovenia and Croatia. And again, starting in Zagreb, you've got to Lake Bled, you go into Rovinj, into the national parks coming down the coast, and ending in Dubrovnik. So again, an amazing trip if somebody has not been to Croatia and Slovenia before. And again, like I said on the previous itinerary, you can extend this into Montenegro for a few days of R&R. You can head over to Venice, and we can add on some other private journey extensions. Or if somebody wants to go to another gateway afterwards, or start, for instance, if someone wants to start and go to Vienna first and then fly into Zagreb, we can do that as well. So lots of fun we can do with custom and private before and after our groups. And then the lands of the midnight sun, Iceland and Greenland. And again, it's interesting, we've seen Iceland really growing in demand. Greenland sort of peaks and valleys. This year we're getting a lot of demand for Iceland. And again, this is one of those departures we have in July. So a fabulous trip. This one is a 12-day. It's more pricey than Eastern Europe. This destination is much more pricey, but it's one of the unique itineraries in the market right now. We can actually get a really good introduction to Iceland, but you also get over to the west coast of Greenland. And you can see the distances there require air. And the inter-tour air is quite expensive for this program. But you really have to look at it as a combined, so around 15,000 combined, but you're getting the best of both worlds, and you're doing it within a 12-day period. And then one of my favorites, Northern Ireland and Ireland. And this itinerary, we have 2 departures this year. It's under $10,000. The great thing about this itinerary that differentiates it from other itineraries in the marketplace is the fact that we start in Belfast. And the reason we do that goes back to understanding who Travcoa is as a company. Everything that we do is around culture, understanding the people, understanding the nuances of the destination, and even the politics. And so we actually start in Belfast, and we do a briefing one afternoon over tea at our wonderful hotel. And we have an expert on some of the political issues that have been going on over the century, or over the last decades between Northern Ireland and Ireland. And so you'll get context of things where they were and where they are today. And then after you tour Belfast, and then you head on into Dublin. And then now you're doing your southern, the more traditional route that everyone knows, but you've had a really good perspective to the country and the people. And of course, you're staying in wonderful castles, you're seeing all the highlights, a really well-paced trip. It's not moving too fast. And again, for someone that has dreamt of going to Ireland, to me, this is probably the best itinerary in the marketplace. And then Splendors of Sicily. Again, probably one of my most favorite of the Italy trips, because I think Sicily in itself, it's Italy, but it's not. You have so many different amazing things between the Roman ruins and the food and just the gorgeous scenery, the volcanoes, the beaches. And so this itinerary for under $8,000 for this region is fantastic. Again, all-inclusive. The food itself is a big highlight here, the people of Sicily. But you start in Palermo. You can see you go to Agrigento, you're getting into the mountains, Ragusa, Siracusa, and then back in Taormina, and then back. So again, great itinerary for someone that has never done Italy. And you can, again, combine this if you want. We do extensions often from here to the Amalfi Coast. We have a private journey you can combine that with. You can combine this with a flight into Rome, and we could do a private journey into Rome. You could also combine this with Malta. We have a private journey to Malta if someone wants to do the islands. So again, another great itinerary. And then Italia, and this to me it's the quintessential sort of basic 101 Italy. If you have somebody that doesn't want to do it privately or on fly drive, wants to be with a group, it's a nice way to do it. So it's really for the person that has never been to Italy before. So Venice, Bologna, Ravenna, Florence, Pisa, Arezzo, Rome. So you've got the whole core from Tuscany to the waterways of Venice and so forth. As all of us know, Italy is not inexpensive, so price point wise, there is no intra-tour air on this, but you know, cost wise, it's $13,000. So it's a bit pricey, but the most important thing I always say is here you can have your dine around, you can eat wherever you want, enjoy whatever you want. So again, people don't have to worry about how much do I spend, or if I want to go to the best restaurant in Rome. I can do that on this trip and not worry about the fact that it's going to take me over my budget. When you pay for the trip up front, you know what you're spending. And actually a good point for the agents is that when your client pays for this trip, you also know what you're getting commissioned on, and you're not losing commission because there's not things that they're buying for excursions and meals outside of what the price of the tour is. So you also know what you're going to be earning. Sole Mare Vino. Now, this is a good second-timer trip. You could do it for a first-timer, but once you've gotten your core destinations out of the way, start looking at where you're going here. Rome, Orvieto, Perugia. You're getting into, you know, areas of Umbria and so forth that you haven't been, but also you go down to the Boot, along the Boot to Lecce and Rinzi and so forth. So again, fun itinerary. You could do this, of course, privately and independently, but it's really nice for a group itinerary. Really much of a foodie tour. I always say to people, if you love food, do this tour because you've got cooking classes, you're going into private homes, going to a farmhouse, you're going limoncello tasting in Sorrento, and the hotels are wonderful that we're using here. So again, May, there's a departure in September, and it's well priced as well for all-inclusive Italy deluxe tour. So that's the gist. I'm going to, after I finish this next part, I'm going to talk about the core invitational to Italy, but I wanted the itineraries I've just shown you. That is our collection of escorted journeys for 2015 that are still available for your guests. Now, I wanted to show you, I'm not going to go through all the private journeys because it'll take hours and we have so many. So as I said, go on to our website afterwards. I'll give you the information to do that, and you can see the different places you can go with a private car and driver that are pre-designed already. But I wanted to give you an idea of a couple that actually are sort of trending for us. Polish Odyssey is one of them. You can see it's a 9-day program. It prices out from just under $4,900, and this is a privately guided trip, and starting in Gdansk to Warsaw to Krakow at the end. So if you have somebody that's looking at heritage tours or genealogy tours, this is where we're finding some interest. People that actually have a Polish heritage are bringing their grandkids with them to introduce them to their homeland. So we've had people going there to find their roots, and we've had to do customization. So this is a nice core itinerary that we can deviate from, or we can extend it and add it on to going into Austria or into Eastern Germany. So again, a nice itinerary, but always it's going to be met at the airport by the driver, transit to hotel, private guided touring, and again, wonderful hotels. Another one that's hot right now is Classical Greece. Greece has really come back on the radar very quickly for us. Again, you can see this gives you some of the highlights: Delphi, Olympia, going to the islands, and Paris, and back to Athens. So really a good highlight. We do a lot of customization on this itinerary. So they'll take this core, and then we find that the agents are calling us to say, can you add this and can you add this? So again, interesting itinerary, $7,500, again, high-end hotels and wonderful guiding. So this would be another thing to consider. We can take this, we can combine it with an extension into Turkey. Turkey's also, I didn't put Turkey on here, but Turkey's also just in the last, I'd say last month has been trending a lot. Private pre and post cruising, doing some extensions where it's just doing Cappadocia and Istanbul as well. So again, this region seems to be peaking up again. So I'm going to now talk about a very special trip, which Up until today, I was going to say that, oh, we have about 6 spaces left. And I had an update this morning, and we only have 2 spaces left on this. And we will not be running this next year. So this is an invitational. And to explain invitationals with Travcoa, they are itineraries that our travel directors, who have been traveling for years with us, they actually are the ones that help design this based on their favorite places, based on things that they've done, private experiences that they've discovered themselves over the years of leading trips. So the nice thing is it's got a very special touch to it. And again, we find that quite often clients will follow that travel director on their invitationals. We also have an invitational to the Himalayas that's doing very, very well this year. But usually if the invitational does very well, the chances are we may bring it back into our portfolio in another year or 2 years as one of our regular itineraries. So if your clients don't go this year, this may be in our next 2016 catalog. So that's an opportunity to look forward to. But they can go this year, great itinerary. This departure takes place in June. It's 13 days. And again, not the first-timer trip. This is really going to take them into some places that you won't even heard of before. The reason I decided to keep this in to show you today is, again, many of you have sold Italy before and you've sold the traditional. This will introduce you to another side of Italy that maybe you haven't even sent clients to before. So a little bit of education for you as well. So the one thing about invitations, just like all of our escorted journeys, they are all-inclusive. They have the dine-around, they have all the excursions included, the travel director, and some of the best local guides in the world. So let's get started. So again, starting with the map, which I think will always help you. As you can see, this itinerary, it actually starts in Pisa, which is different from most itineraries. Goes on to, as you can see, into Lucca, and then down through Saturnia into the interior part of Italy, areas south of Italy that you don't go to, and then into Rome. So again, a wonderful way of showcasing this. And again, if a client wishes to do an extension afterwards to the Amalfi Coast, we can certainly do that. We can do an extension. For some reason they haven't been to Italy and they want to do this itinerary, and then they want to add on Florence or they want to add on Venice, that certainly is possible as a custom journey as well. So Marta Luna is the travel director that will be leading this trip. Marta has been with us for a long, long time. She's originally from Argentina. She's an American citizen but lives between Argentina and California. But she also has traveled the world, and Italy is one of her passions. And so that's why we asked her to design this very, very special trip. And as we get started, so the itinerary will start in Lucca, and this is situated you know, basically, sorry, did I say Lucca? Yes, I did. Sorry, it starts in Pisa, and then we move on into Lucca. Sorry. So you've transferred from Pisa to your hotel in Lucca, and then the rest of the day is at leisure to explore the attractions. And then that evening, as we do with all of our itineraries, we start with a welcome party and a dinner. And so this is an opportunity for all the guests to meet the travel director, each other, and just get a briefing on the tour. Now, we don't do a lot of group functions on our itineraries. As I mentioned, dine around to us is very important to give the freedom to our clients. But I will say that on some itineraries, because there's special things that we're doing, it requires the groups to be together for dinner. So on those particular cases, that's when we'll have the opportunity to showcase these. Now, the next day, we're actually going to do an informative walking tour through Lucca. You get a chance to see the Renaissance-era city walls, the history of this area. It's the long-lost Etruscans, the Roman colonies. So again, fascinating city. And then we have a traditional lunch at a beautiful restaurant that we've been going to for years. And then we go and visit. This is the hotel that we'll be staying with. So the Noblesse Hotel, which is you can see the architecture, gorgeous property. We also go and visit the Monte Carlo di Lucca, and so some wonderful local wine tasting, and it's a short drive from Lucca. So again, an easy drive for the day and just a very relaxing experience. And then the next, we do a drive north up to Carrara, and if you know anything about Carrara, it's known for its marble. And this is where Michelangelo selected most of the stone for all of his sculptures, and this area is it sits between the Alpine Alps and the Mediterranean. So again, stunning scenery, and with his dazzling white and gray marble protruding from the mount. You can see what kind of imagery you'd have. So photography enthusiasts would love this. We also afterwards then we have a lunch in a small little village where we actually, it's called Colonnata, and then we end up, it's wonderful taste of Tuscany and cured meats and Tuscan fennel salamis and all those wonderful local dishes. And as you can see here in our image. And then from, as I call this, the culinary journey, and the next stop will go into Bulgaria. It's one of the finest wine districts right now in Italy. And you have a wonderful wine tasting at this winery, and it'll be in an exclusive countryside farm. And then later in the afternoon, we end up reaching the harbor of Piombino, and we're on our way to the island of Elba. And we'll be staying in the beautiful Hotel Hermitage there. Now, if you know anything about Elba Island, and you've heard that this was Napoleon's famous place of exile. And so you'll actually do a tour the following day into Elba's oldest inhabited village, which is Marciana. Really charming. And then you take a, actually I'll show you the picture of the hotel first. I'm getting ahead of myself here. It's a beautiful Hotel Hermitage, as you can see on the coast. And then in the morning when we're going up, we're actually going to take a two-person metal basket called a cabanovia, and it takes us up to the top of Monte Cafani. So you get incredible views of over to France's Corsica, and you see the Tuscan Islands below as well. And you'll continue up to the mountaintop of Foggia for lunch, and then afterwards you'll have some time to relax on the beaches at Marina di Campo. So again, this is just a wonderful, it's a very, very differentiated destination. Now, we also today, in the afternoon, will visit Napoleon's residence, Palazzina dei Mulini. And it was originally built in 1724 by the Grand Duke Gian Gaston de' Medici. And Napoleon had his architect renovate the palace, and today this is the museum, the Napoleonic Residence's National Museum. So if you have a fascination with Napoleon, this is definitely going to be a highlight for the client. We also, while we're there, will go to see a wonderful performance, Teatro di Vigilanti. And let's see here, I'm getting ahead of, I've got my itinerary because I'm trying to follow this with my pictures for you. There we go, sorry. So on the Saturday, June the 6th, we will, after the theater evening, I'm sorry, we're going to head the next day on a ferry ride back to the mainland and going to Massa Marittima. And like many of the towns in Tuscany, this was founded by the Etruscans, and despite its name, it's tucked away from the coast, so it has nothing to do with the sea at all, as you can see here from the landscape. We'll have a visit to the splendid medieval church of St. Augustine. And then after lunch in the country inn, we'll climb into the hills, and there's a wonderful archaeological site called Venetulonia, and where you can explore most of the Etruscan archaeological ruins here. It's the site of one of the most ancient settlements in the entire European continent, and you can see some of the treasures that you'll be able to view in the excavation museum. And then later that afternoon, we drive into Saturnia, and that's where you'll be actually spending the night at the Hotel Terme di Saturnia. And the following morning, you're going to have some leisure time. And there's a couple of things. This day, you'll in the afternoon be going to an excursion to a tiny medieval Tuscan village called Pedigliano. It's also known as Little Jerusalem. And it was originally settled by the Etruscans, but it's also home to a 15th century synagogue and one of the oldest and the smallest Jewish communities in Italy. So again, this would be a fascinating stop. And then next we visit Savannah, which is a picturesque village nestled amid the ruins, and it's a living window into about 30 centuries of historic past. And this evening we have a wonderful dinner at a great restaurant in Caino. It's Montemarano, and this village, it's like time stood still here. And Caino is again one of the best restaurants, a country-style restaurant in Italy. The dishes that are here play upon sort of contrasts of all the aromas, textures of this region, and it's also a Relais and Chateau restaurant. So this is one of those special nights where we do actually dine together. And the other thing about where we're going to be staying, the Hotel Terme di Saturnia They have impressive Roman baths, saunas, and Turkish baths, and it's because the thermal hot springs in Saturnia, it's the oldest in Italy, and it was here where the Etruscans and almost every ruling dynasty after that part came to relax and rejuvenate, including the popes. So again, it's a very special place, and so our clients get to do it in style with the hotel that they're staying at. But they'll have some time on the morning of June 7th, and a little bit of morning on the 8th before they depart Saturnia. So again, a great added bonus here. So the next day, the last morning of Saturnia, we're going to visit the excavations by the American Academy in Rome at the ancient Etruscan settlement of Clusia. And then this place was basically, artifacts were collected at this site, and it's amazing. But then the next day, and this is the part, I went one slide too fast here, we went to Tarquinia, and this is the ancient Etruscan necropolis. So basically, you'll be able to wander through the maze, the maze of 6,000 rock-cut burial vaults. So you can see on the bottom right and the top left, just to see how the walking style will be through here. And there's wall carvings and the paintings, and they date back to the 7th century BC, and they showcase the achievements of the Etruscan culture. So again, this in itself, just a fascinating destination, again, something that's not on the normal visitor list. And then the next we continue on to Bracciano, and we visit the monumental Desalci Castle. And this is on the southern shore of volcanic Lake Bracciano. It's a feudal residence in Europe, one of the loveliest you'll find. Again, fantastic views there as well. And then we're going to stop for lunch, and then afterwards, when we're going through visiting some of the tombs that are in the cemetery, and then we are going on to looking at some of the residential areas, some of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Now the next day, and this is after we basically have a morning of leisure in I can never pronounce this, I'm going to say it wrong, I'm sure. But we then head north in search of the oldest Christian monasteries in Italy, and one of them is the St. Benedict's Monastery in Subiaco. And this is, it enshrines a cave called the Sacro Specchio Cave, in which the saint lived before he organized his first monastic community. So you're basically this beautiful setting, but then you have time to get into the caves as well. And you can also explore the church, and it's covered with a lot of beautiful frescoes. And one of the paintings is a portrait of St. Francis of Assisi that was painted during his lifetime as well. We're going to be staying at the Grand Hotel Palazzo della Fonte, which is again a spectacular hotel, and you'll have some time to relax and also explore the town on your own as well. Now we're going to also be stopping at the Santa Benedetta, and again this will be a wonderful opportunity for some more wine tasting. And again, as you can see here, there's a sort of a theme throughout this entire itinerary about wines and foods. So we have a chance to really experience some of the best. This happens to be one of the oldest wineries in this Castelli Romani community. So again, Frascati wineries would be one of them you'll enjoy. From there, we continue on to Castel Gandolfi, which is the papal summer residence. And over the ages, this has been used by many, many different popes. Pope Francis was only visited 3 times. It's a magnificent palatial palace. It's built in the 17th century by Carlo Maderno, and this was done for Pope Urban VIII. So you'll have time to look at the pontifical villas, tour the beautiful gardens that you can see here. And then afterwards, we'll have a special treat because we enjoy lunch at a restaurant called Paganelli in Castel Gandolfi. So again, you have a special treat there before heading on to Rome, which is our last stop. Now, our last stop, we enjoy the beautiful hospitality of the St. Regis Grand in Rome. And then we'll have a couple of days in Rome. Now, we start, again, keeping in mind that we're assuming that most guests that take this have been to Rome before, so you're not touring the traditional sites. You're going in to visit the privately owned collection at Rome's Pamphili Gallery, one of the finest private art collections in Rome, including masterpieces from the Renaissance, impressive number of marble sculptures, and then also you'll be at leisure exploring your own. You can enjoy lunch as a Travcoa dine-around program, and then also you'll be treated to a short private choral concert. So again, the gallery, the choral concert at St. Peter's Basilica. This will be a private concert for our group conducted by Maestro Monsignor Pablo Colino of the Chapel of St. Peter's Basilica. So he's the prefect of music at the Vatican, the highest sacred music authority in the Catholic Church. So again, a very, very special treat for our last day. And then for the evening, before we head to our beautiful farewell dinner, you get a chance to take a horse and carriage ride, Bocelles, through the Baroque district of the city of Rome to our farewell dinner at a very beautiful little local restaurant. So again, it's a wonderful way to toast your journey to Bella, Italy. And again, beautiful farewell dinners, wonderful views. And our journey concludes in Rome. And again, as I mentioned, for many of our clients, they've been to Rome, so at this point they probably would depart, but for clients that haven't been to Rome, we're happy to do private journey extensions or to customize an itinerary to other destinations within Italy for them as well. So again, this is, there's only 2 seats left on this tour. We know it's going to be an amazing trip, so I highly recommend if you have anybody thinking of Rome, call us quickly because it won't last. And again, the next time you'll see this itinerary could be in 1 or 2 years from now. So that will be the end of the touring part. So I mentioned that we can do pre- and post-tour and cruise extensions. Here's some of the destinations we find in Europe that are the most popular for us. Now we do have a requirement of a minimum of 6 nights for us to do any customization. So I usually say do 2 nights at the beginning, 4 nights at the end, or 3 and 3 is another combination. And many of these, you can do that quite easily. The difference between doing this with a cruise line and doing it with us is as follows. They are private, so they are privately met. All the guiding is private. If they have a couple or groups, so we can put larger vehicles on, but usually it'll be a private sedan or a private luxury van that they'll be touring in. If you want to combine this with rail travel, we can do that as well. We can do the flights in between. So again, nice different combinations. The other thing, we have a special going on for Europe right now, and it does have to be booked in deposit. Actually, it should say January 31st, 2015, for travel in 2015. But if you book, there's a select grouping of itineraries. You'll find those on our website, but you'll get 1 free night pre or post journey hotel on a select number of our departures. So it's great because you can have your client come in a day before, no additional cost to them, have time to get over their jet lag before the following day when they actually meet up with the rest of the group and the travel director. So it's a really nice little bonus, so be sure to check with us on those. And the value of those, because it's expensive in Europe, sometimes this could be $800, $900 a couple or even more in terms of value. Journey links, and this is important. So when I was talking to you about you can link different destinations to the end of a journey, the great thing is that if we have an existing private journey, you can link it and you'll save 5% on that private journey. So if you see the published price for the private journey, take 5% off of that when you link it to an escorted journey. Or you can combine 2 private journeys together. You can see Paris, London, and the Amalfi Coast are probably our most commonly linked private journeys. Also groups, and if you have a group of 6 or more, and that's really 3 couples, you can save up to 5% on the price. If you book a group of 12, the 12th person can go free based on double occupancy. But also if you book 12 guests and there's no one else booked on that departure, we can close out that departure so that no one else is on there. So it's your group of 12 people that go with the travel director, so it's like your own private travel group that's going. And if you yourself want to be the Pied Piper and pull together 11 other people, remember that you'll go free on a shared basis. So you can put your own group of 12 together, take over a departure. You haven't had to do any work to set up the group, but you've got your own and you can market it under your own brand to your clients. So that's another way of doing groups with us. 7 Continents Club, nice bonus. It's free for your clients. So as soon as they've traveled to us once, they are automatically a member. And it means that for all future tours, they can save between 4 and 6%. But if they're bringing their friends or family with them on the same trip, they will also save that 4 to 6%. So it's a really nice gift that they can transfer to their friends. I mentioned earlier about our website. You can see here Travcoa, going to Cuba. What's new here is on the top right-hand corner, you can see something called Travel Agent Resources in the navigation bar. That's for you. So what's new here is if you link onto that, you're going to get to this page. And this page is going to say Travel Agent Resources Overview. You can see in the left-hand column all the information that will be in this section of our website. You must have created an account so that you can actually log in, and the process is really quite easy. When you click on create an account, it's going to ask for your information. You'll fill that out. It will send a message to us, and within 24 hours usually it will be activated, and you'll get a message back to you on your email to say it's activated. Then you can log in and you can get everything here from just sales contacts, booking information. There's booking forms in there, information about commissions, group travel offers, special offers for both travel agents as well as the public offers that are out there for your clients. So you have one place to find them. Marketing support, as I mentioned earlier, image library, our logos if you need them, if you want to order brochures, sign up for our agent newsletters. We have consumer newsletters, but we also have one for you, our Agent's Corner. Webinars, again, if for some reason if you want to see what the upcoming schedules are, you can go here. If you missed a webinar and you want to listen to a recording, again, the recordings are there too. If you're interested in familiarization tours, we don't do a lot of group familiarization tours, more privately, but it gives you some information there, and if there's a destination that you're really intrigued by, certainly you can fill out the forms and it comes back to our office too. There's two of us that are primarily your key sales contacts. We do not have BDMs all over the country, which some people sort of wonder why, but yeah, we're a big brand, but we're still a small company. We're there, we're very personalized service. We travel a lot. Rob Fielding he used to be our Southeast sales BDM. He moved to LA and now he's overseeing all of our team internally. Fantastic guy, understands you, really is there to support you. I'm outside, I'm out there doing business development. I'm also a key contact for you as well. But anything happening in the office, Rob is overseeing all of our reservations team and also there to support you. So again, if you can't remember our emails from here, when you log into our Travel Agent Resource Center, you're going to find our information there too. And then, of course, our team. Here's our toll-free number. As I said, we're not huge. The nice thing about not being huge, we all communicate with each other. So if somebody doesn't have destination expertise, they're going to be able to turn over to the next person in the office and say, hey, you, and we can do a three-way dialogue with you. We can do three-way dialogue with you and your clients if they have specific questions on the destination. We're all on the same floor. We're in the same area. So, again, we don't have to run through different floors of a building to find each other. So you're going to work with a team that's really dedicated to servicing you and to making sure your clients have an amazing time. We are open Monday to Friday. We're based in Los Angeles, El Segundo actually, which is 5 minutes from LAX. And so we're on West Coast time, opening at 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. So pretty easy to reach. And I always like to reiterate this. We've been around for 60 years. Some of you that are newer in the business may not know our brand, and those of you that have been around, you may have known us for Escorted. So I hope today I've introduced you, one, to who Travcoa is today, but also to know that when you've been around for 60 years, it doesn't happen naturally. You need to work at it, and we are a trusted brand, and you cannot buy that trust. You must earn it, and we know that we've earned it, and that's the repeat loyalty of travel advisors as well as their clients. So. And I thank you very much for listening to me rambling on today. I'm going to turn it back to Lee and see if there's any questions that you would like me to answer for you today.
Thanks, Kathy. Yes, we do have a couple of questions here, so I'll just go ahead and get right into those. There was a question about why alcohol is not included.
I think, it's a good question, but think about it. Actually, I should say, when we have a special event, such as a welcome dinner or a farewell dinner, we will include it. But if we were to allow you to go out on a dine around and go and eat and drink wherever you want, that you cannot. That goes out of control very quickly because wine can be incredibly expensive. And also, how dine around works is that we know how people, generally over 60 years, we have an average idea of how much people will eat on average on a tour. And I always say that it's like going on an all-inclusive cruise. For the first few days, people eat as much as they want because they know they can have whatever they want. After a few days, though, you start to self-regulate yourself because you just can't eat anymore. And you just start downsizing the meals, you skip meals. So we have an idea of how much people will ultimately spend on an experience. But also, so we take that average, and that's how we price our tours. But keep in mind that not everybody drinks. If you kept alcohol in the price, it would skew the averages of meals up higher, and those people that don't drink would be negatively impacted because we'd have to build on that averaging into the price point. So reality is it doesn't make sense on Dine Around to include alcohol. So we will include it in special events where we're together in a controlled environment, but personally it's up to them whether they drink or not and the amount they drink and the price that they pay for their drinks.
Right, okay, makes sense, thanks. There was a question here about whether Travcoa would ever consider signing up through vacation.com so that their host agency could use them as a preferred tour operator.
You know, it's not that we wouldn't be interested in doing vacation.com. I think what we recognize is that those agents that have the right clients for us have approached us to work with them, and we work with many agents that are part of vacation.com. It's more, most of the collaborative consortia, the requirements they have are more marketing related, and the investment requirement for the marketing doesn't sometimes equate back to the return in terms of business, because we find that our loyalty from the agent community is based because they have the right clients for us. We're more than happy to extend preferred commissions to, any of the consortia partners, without the marketing element to it. But again, as an agent, if you can perform with us, you can increase your commissions anyways, and that tends to be one of the key areas. Vacation.com has been on our radar. It's something we have considered. So again, it's point taken. We could certainly enter into some dialogue with them again, and it's not that we don't like the organization. It's just really how we invest our marketing dollars.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Kathy. And does the Dine Around apply to private journeys?
No, and again, that's a good question, and it goes back to how I explained how we figure out the calculation of the Dine Around on the escorted journeys. Because we end up taking an average of every tour and getting an idea of average what everybody spends on a tour. Some spend more, some spend less, and we spread those averages over 12, 14 people. Consistently, we have a bit of a price. The challenge with private journeys is that when you've got two people that are dining on their own, you can only spread the risk over two people, and it would cost us way too much. And it would cost the client way too much for us to take, to estimate an average of what two people would spend. When you spread it over 12, 14 people, it brings the price average down. So this way, we keep the price of our private journey lower by not incorporating it. We have had some, on occasion, we have had some clients say, can we include the Dine Around, can you price it in? Two things happen there. It's a little bit more complicated for the client because they have no travel director to submit their receipts to. And so then they have to collect all the receipts, and then they've got to send them back to the office. And we just found that at the end, for the clients, it wasn't the best experience. And ultimately, for them, they realized they probably paid more money than they would have had to if they had just booked the meals themselves. So that's really the reason. It's a risk thing. We take a risk on the escorted because we have to calculate a price and estimate that that's on average what everyone will eat. Whereas in private journeys, we would have to estimate a much higher per diem to do that.
Right. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Kathy. And was the Italy tour that you discussed, was that an escorted journey or private journey? Do you remember? There's a lot of interest in Italy, by the way, today.
The escorted journey, the one that I said that there's 2 spaces left, the one that we went through the itinerary, and that is escorted. So you have Marta Luna as the travel director and the local guides. We do have Impressions of Italy, which is a private journey, which follows, it's more of a, I'd say, the Introduction to Italy itinerary, and then we have a couple of other itineraries to Italy that are a little bit more for the second timer. But I'd say that with Italy, we do a lot of customization. So the best thing, if you have inquiries for Italy, I would call our custom journey department and talk to them, because 10 times out of 12, it's going to be that somebody has a lot of modification they want to do to any itinerary because they have special interest in where they want to go.
And in fact, that was going to be my next question. I think it would be a case where the agent would need to call, because the question was about combining Italy and Sicily that would include Italian lakes and perhaps some cooking classes. So that sounds like a perfect for custom journey. Yeah.
That's a perfect custom journey, and it could be a combination. It depends. If they wanted to go on a group, they could take the Sicily program, and then the other elements could be customized. If they want to take an escorted program, the Sole Mare Vino, the escorted journey in Italy, has some cooking classes, and then we could combine it with a private journey to Sicily. But to me, it sounds a little bit more like they would be more of a custom journey client.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Okay, well, I think that's all the time we have. I just looked at the clock and realized we're 1 minute past our hour that we asked everybody to give us. So, Kathy, let me turn it back over to you for closing comments.
Okay, well, all I can do is thank you again for joining us today. I know it's going to be a great 2015. It's starting to sound really good. All I can ask of you is, if you haven't worked with us, call us and give us a chance to try to work with you. So it always takes that one step, and let us introduce you to our brand. I know you may work with many others out there, but start the new year fresh, give Travcoa a try, and if you have been working with us, thank you for your loyalty. We really appreciate you and your support, and we are who we are because of you and the wonderful clients that you send us. So Happy New Year, have a wonderful January, and I'll be back in February with another webinar. So look forward to speaking with you then too.
My thanks as well. We appreciate having all of you here with us, and we will reach out to all of you with a link to the replay. So we thank you for being with us today, and we'll conclude our webinar. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, Lee.